Recording in fine. Then we will start with the map, filter, and reduce. Okay, before that, I will tell you what are the functions in JavaScript. So we have worked on the variables in JavaScript. We have understood what are the variables. Variables are something that you put any value in a particular box. It's like a box. Okay, variable is like a box. You put some variable there, and that is something. Variables are you put some value in there. Um, that is something variables in JavaScript are. Then we are going to deal with the functions today. What are functions in JavaScript? So, if you want to perform some task, like if you want to perform some task on a particular event, for example, today is my birthday and today I want to celebrate. So, birthday is the event and I am going to celebrate is the function. Okay. So, what are the functions in JavaScript? Function in JavaScript that we want to execute a block of code that is very necessary to perform a few actions. So, without any functions, we are not going to deal with the any. Just a minute. Many people are waiting in the waiting room. Okay. So, it is very important to do some of the work. It is so there will be no website where you see there are only UI components and they are designed very nicely. But it is very important to check with the JavaScript as well, because JavaScript is the one thing that is going to perform. Yeah, that is going to perform any work. So yeah, I will start with the functions in JavaScript. There are two types of functions in JavaScript. I will list it down here. So there are categorized in multiple types, but we will understand only two functions. Functions. Just a minute. Functions in script. We have two functions. One is normal functions. Another is arrow functions. Have you heard about arrow functions? Type 1 if you heard about arrow functions. Okay, fine. Arrow functions in JavaScript and normal functions in JavaScript are not much difference, but this is very important for performance and the size of code. The size of code in arrow functions is very less, and the size of code in normal functions is very high. So I will provide you two examples and how it is defined in JavaScript. Okay. So first of all, I will tell you this is a okay. So this is normal function. This is normal function that is used, that is declared using function keyword. Functions in JavaScript are declared using function keyword or using const. So this is the function, and I will paste one more function here. And in arrow functions, if you see, the syntax of the arrow function is little different. Okay, so const add is equal to, here we will pass the arguments, and here this is the main main operator that is used as a arrow in arrow function. And arrow function, what arrow function does, uh it is short and clean, and it is like, um it cannot be used as a as a constructor, and it is a short function. It is a callback function. See, so arrow function is, all the arrow functions are callback functions. Callback function is something that we can pass function as an argument to the another function that we will learn later. And this is a function. This is a normal function. This is add, return, a plus b. So I will paste one function here. Yeah. Okay, this is little complex. We will use the same function first. I will explain this later. See, if we are writing this function, will this get executed? A simple question from my side. Will this get executed? Yes or no? Okay. Okay, Rishikesh. Why? Very good. Okay. So we will call this function called as add, and I will pass two variables here. Okay. And we will get no output because we have not yet logged this. In order to verify that we have used it correctly, then see, 22 is the answer. Okay, so these are the normal functions. The same function we will check as arrow function. We will check with the arrow functions. This is the arrow function. So see, this is the const arrow function, and here we can use very shorthand ifs and all the functions in JavaScript currently, for example, built-in functions that are map, reduce, filter, then there are multiple functions. All those functions are written using arrow functions because they return value more fast and they do not require multiple layers to get executed. So this is one of the function, but the code in the so this is a sample function. You will feel that we have the same return statement and it is very easy. It looks same, but performance wise, arrow function is a shorthand function and that can be used very shortly. So this is also one of the things, and this was introduced a long back, but it came into picture a lot of time now. And yeah, so I will tell you about this code. Okay. So see, here const person is a object. Person is a type of object. We here there are two types of keys. So what is object? You know what is object? Object is something like which has key value pair. Okay. Object in any language. Object is something like we have example key and value to that particular key. Everyone must be wonder about the JSON object. Everyone is knowing about the JSON object. This is how the object we have. Okay. This is the object structure. Here in this code, person is an object which having key as name, a variable, and greet, again another key with the value function. Okay. Whenever we want to call something from that particular object, then we need to call it using this. Okay. So I will run this code. Anyone can predict what will be the answer? Anyone from you? Okay, correct. So see what happens in the function, what happens in the normal function. Here, if you check, this is the normal function, not an arrow function. Okay. So here, normal function always stop. What happened here? Here, function is a normal function. Okay. Normal function always has this keyword. This it means it is pointing to the variable from which it is referenced. So this keyword is it checks in the block scope, in its own block scope. The each function has this of its own. Okay. So this dot name it will reference to this. Again, we will check with the arrow functions now. Yeah. We will be using same but arrow function. Okay. See, what will happen here? Arrow function has no this keyword. Arrow function has no this keyword and it has no references to this. So here, what do you think? What will be the answer? Exactly. Yes. Arrow function. I think someone texted here. Yes, arrow function can take this from its lexical scope. Lexical scope is a this scope. In the scope which it has been declared. Then the okay, anyone can predict the output of this function? Anyone? Okay, okay, okay. See, I will run this code and will answer. See, undefined. Because as I already mentioned that this keyword is only referenced in the function. Function is always reference to its lexical scope. The function, this keyword in the function always reference to its lexical scope. The lexical scope, it means this block of code. Okay, here he finds the name, but in arrow function topic, there is no this keyword. Okay, there is no this keyword and there is it will find, so there is a this keyword, but it will never find, they do not reference to that any variable that is declared within that scope. Okay, so we will get undefined, but we do not get any error. Why undefined? Because he doesn't even find that particular name, that particular variable called name in that lexical scope. So this is the difference between the arrow functions and the normal function that we need to consider. So this is the best interview question. Like I have been interviewed for more than 4 companies. So this was the main functions, arrow functions and normal functions with callback. They asked me. So keep in mind that this is the main topic. Yeah, in JavaScript. Also, let var and const is also a very huge topic. You can trial and error on the multiple types of variables, like variable var let const. You can check with the You can dry run the code. You have idea about the dry running the code? Anyone have idea about dry running the code? Dry run code? Akash. Okay, good, good. Fine. So try to explore more about the let, var, and const, and try to find more examples, build your examples, and then you will understand how it works. Yeah. Try to write a file of JavaScript and try to do it with events. Yeah, events like after calling a function on clicking the mouse, calling a function on hovering something. Hovering, like if I'm hovering is something that if you are uh, taking your particular arrow to that particular button or a div, that is called as hovering. So hovering also is one of the event. So try to get more examples of this and also check all the examples works with the arrow function as well as with the normal functions. So this will give you more idea about the working of variables and functions that are like user defined functions and the variables in JavaScript. Okay, then I hope you have got idea about the arrow functions. Any questions regarding arrow functions? Any question? So clear for arrow function and normal functions in JavaScript? Okay, okay. Rishikesh is like Lambda function in Python. So Rishikesh, I haven't worked on Python, but I will definitely check how it works. Yeah. If you are comparing and learning, then that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, good one. Okay. Yeah. So let's get started with the callback functions. Yeah, with the example. What are the callback functions? Callback functions is something like a function you are passing one function to another function as an argument. I think you have idea about the arguments. Have you anyone has idea about what are arguments in JavaScript? What are parameters? What is the difference between parameters and arguments? Yeah. So Akash, okay, good. I think rest of the people, if you don't know what what is the difference between parameters and arguments, please type one. Okay. So see, I will write one function here, function demo. I will write restaurant. Okay. So this is the function. Okay. Function, whenever we are talking about a defined function, then we are checking this function is expecting two parameters. this functions is expecting two parameters. The things that are just variables or just variables that are declared inside this curly braces, these are called as the parameters. Whenever we are explaining any of the students or anyone, we can explain, or in a meeting, we can explain that this function is expecting two parameters. Okay, whenever we are calling the function, these are the arguments that are passed. Okay, so while calling a function, it is argument. Whenever we are defining the function, it is a parameters. Okay, clear? Yes, Akash, correct. Yeah, so clear. Everyone, type 1. Great. So these are the parameters and arguments. Now, what are we doing here? In callback function, it is possible, or in JavaScript, it is possible to pass. Here we are passing the value, but in JavaScript, it is possible to pass the functions to that function to another function. We can pass function. We can pass here function. Yeah. So we can pass here a function as an argument to that particular function. So this is called, this concept is called as a callback function. So I will give you a live example of callback function. Okay, now you have to predict the output of this. Firstly, then I will explain this to you. Anyone from you, can you predict the output? Just go line by line and try to execute it. Now we will execute this function. See, hello Megha, goodbye. So what happened here actually? Okay, so Rishikesh, this will be the output, and I will explain how it happens, how it works. See, this is the function that is declared, but it is not yet called. Okay, this is the function is only declared but not yet called. So when function is not yet called, it will not going to produce any output. Then there is one more function. Again, it is declared, but it is not called. Okay, if you are thinking about the callback, yeah, if you are thinking about the callback, that is a function call here, but you need to understand that its parent function that is greet. Greet is not yet called. So the block of code will not get executed inside the greet. So function this needs to be called, then only the block of code of that particular function will be executed. Then again, function say by is getting this is declared, but it is not yet called. Then first we have to call the greet function, and first we are passing the argument as Megha. Then again we are passing the second argument as a say by, and say by is a function. Megha is a value. It is a string value. It is like a variable value. It is like a string value, and this is a function value. So the pointer will go to the greet. Megha will be stored in the first parameter called name, and second parameter will store this function. Okay. Then whenever we are logging, then name has Megha. So hello Megha. Then again, callback function is getting called here. Uh, callback has the value of this function. So this function will get executed and goodbye will get printed. Okay. Clear, Rishikesh? Okay, good. So any doubts regarding callback functions here? Anyone? Okay, no doubts. If you have no doubts, then type 0. Okay. So any doubts up till now? Any doubts regarding variables in JavaScript, functions in JavaScript, callbacks in JavaScript? Anything? Because we are going to move to a very important topic now, which is a little bit lengthy. So any doubts do you have? Not only regarding the callback function. Callback can be called with anonymous function as well, right? Yes, that can be called. So what you can do, Sandeep, you can start using the browser APIs. Okay. Check with the JavaScript documentation. There you will find you can definitely call functions, anonymous functions using JavaScript. Okay. But there is a different way. Okay, there is a different way to call the anonymous functions. The what we can say, the functionality is kind of different. So you can check that. Yeah. Okay. Any other doubts? Okay. If no doubts up till now, then please add 0. Okay, fine. So now we will be talking about the JavaScript engine, not the particular engine, but we will be talking about how the functions, how the variables are managed, and how the functions are getting called and getting executed, and we are getting the output on the front end, on the screen. Okay, so yeah, so there is one concept called event loop. Anyone heard about the concept called event loop in JavaScript? Press 1 if you don't know. Okay. Other people, have you have idea about event loop? Have you heard about event loop before? Okay, fine. Okay. I will start with event loop. See, so event loop is something that what are we writing as a function? What are we writing as a function? Variables that is getting executed. That is getting executed. The process of getting the execution. Okay, and we are getting output on the console or DOM. DOM is the web page. So this process is called as event loop. Okay, this process is called as event loop. Event loop is like input. This is the input. Here, the processing will occur. Here, this is the input. Processing will occur here, and here will be the output on the console or on the DOM. Or DOM means the web page, the window that is visible to you whenever we are running any HTML page or something, or whenever any website is getting run, this getting executed, then DOM is visible to all of us. So, event loop is something that how the function is handled by the JavaScript engine, how the variables are handled in the JavaScript engine, and how they are going to execute, in what way they are going to execute. So we have three things here. Actually, we have five things total. We have stack, we have callback queue, we have event loop. Okay, so event loop is a concept, event loop is a handler as well. Yeah, so I will list down. First, we have callback queue. You know the concept queue, right? Anyone who doesn't know the concept of queue and stack? I think everyone is aware of queue and stack. Yeah. If no, then press 0. Just the terminology. It is fine if you know the terminology of queue and stack. Okay, great. So, callback queue is something that we are standing, we have always heard that we are standing in a queue whenever we are going to a bank. We are standing in a queue whenever we are going to any concerts. So, the concept of queue is used here. So, callback queue is something that all the function, all the address of that, but all the addresses of all the functions in that JavaScript code is kept in the queue, is kept in the queue, so that one by one it gets executed. How it gets executed? By pushing that particular queues, particular functions code into a stack. So this is example. This is a stack. Okay. Any function in the JavaScript is executed when that function is pushed into a stack. Okay. The stack follows LIFO, last in LIFO technique, last in, first out. Yeah, last in, first out. So whenever we are pushing any function in the stack, it means that function is getting executed. Here we have example function 1. Yeah, and again we have nested function 2. And function 2 is, remember that if we are pushing one on one function, one after another function, it means function 1 is a parent function, then again function 2 is the nested function inside the function 1. Okay, I will explain how it works. So if we have multiple functions, then if example we have multiple function, then it is the nested function. So here we have the callback queue. these are the functions that are, these are the addresses of the function that are standing in a queue. For example, function 1, I will add f1, then function 2, then function 3, then function 4. Yeah. So this is queue and it follows the first in, first out technique. Yeah. So for example, f1 is the function that was pushed first. Okay, and for f1 contains the nested function f2, and inside f2, if we are considering f3 is nested, and in f3, f4 is nested. How it will look in the code? In code, it will look like function f1, then function f4. So if the if the stack is looking like this function, if the stack is containing 4 to 5 function, it means this is the structure of that particular function. Yeah. If we are considering only one function, if we are considering only function f2, f1, and again we are executing function f2. But here it is important to call function f1. Then only if whenever we are getting call, whenever we are calling the function, then only the function is getting pushed to that queue and stack. Here f1 and f2, and again if we are calling here function as f1 and f2, what will happen? The stack will contain only one function at a time, because stack will contain only one function at a time, because this function is getting executed and it is popped out of the stack. Again, this function is getting executed and it is popped out of the stack. Popping out of the stack, it means the function has completed its execution. Here, who is responsible for pushing this function code into the stack is, there is a person again called event loop, event handler or event loop. Yeah, this person is here, this person, event loop person, is responsible for taking out the functions from here and pushing it into the stack. When the function is completely executed, it will be definitely popped out to the stack. Now, any one of you can explain me how this is the nested function event loop technique. Can you explain me the stack for stack and queue diagram for these two functions getting called one after another? Anyone who wants to explain? You're getting my point, right? What I'm trying to explain.
Yes, Megha.
Press. Yeah. Okay. Akash. Okay. So are you ready to explain the code
Yes, yes.
or
So actually, what happening here? We have
Mhm.
taken multiple function as like function one, function two, function three, and function
Yeah.
four uh, for the running. So if we calling the function one, so event loop will check is there anything inside that particular stack or not. If the stack is empty, so event loop will process F1 and it will be
Okay.
passed in the that particular stack, and then again it will be run synchronously, and f1 will print. Then again it will goes to the F2. Then it will check if F2 is present or not. If call stack is empty, then it will push that F2 inside a call stack, and then it will be executed simultaneously
Okay.
happening with the F3 and F4.
Okay. So after execution, the function will get popped or the function will be still in the stack.
No, it will get popped.
Good. Okay. So the function for the simultaneous for the one by one execution, this will be the structure. Yeah. And when the function is pushed into the stack, this will get removed from the queue. And here the function one get executed. Then if the function is executed, then this function is popped out from the stack. Yeah, this function is popped out from the stack. Then we are pushing the another function. This function is popped out. Now we are pushing the function 2. Now the event loop will check. First, the event loop will check if the F2 function is present in the stack. No. Then only this will push to the stack. And here again, this is get removed from the queue. And this function gets executed. Then this function will also get popped out from the stack. So this is how the event loop is working in JavaScript. Everyone clear? Type yes if you are clear, or one, anything. Okay, great. So I think event loop has many micro task queue, macro task queue, a few of the browser APIs like fetch, setting timeout, async and await operations. So these are the browser related things, and we need to dive deep into that. But this is possible only when we are considering or whenever we are doing trial and error. We are producing our own examples, and you will get to understand that, yeah, this is how it is going to run. And you can print all these functions inside the console. There you will find that, yeah, this function is getting executed at this time. So here you will able to imagine how the picture will look like. Okay, of the event loop. Event loop is the very important part. It is asked in almost in most of the interviews, event loop is asked. So you should understand what is event loop, and you should try to make sure that um, explain this event loop with example. Take an example, explain the event loop, and they will understand how deep knowledge do you have about the event loop. Event loop is that processing of the JavaScript code and producing the output. How it is processed using stack and queues. Okay, so these are the data structures used in JavaScript internally by the JavaScript engine, and a very important topic of the JavaScript library and the engine and the browser. So anyone, any idea about async await operations or promises? Press 1 if you have idea about async await and promises. Just an idea. Okay, so promises are mostly used in the API calls. Yeah, API calls if you are calling async operations or async functions, or maybe you can calling synchronous functions. In both cases, promises are used, but mostly they are used in the. It is recommended to use the promises while you are performing the asynchronous operations. So promises also we need to consider when we are learning Next.js, whenever we are writing the code of backend as well as the front end. So currently, I will suggest all of you to go through the promises. Promises is a huge topic in JavaScript, and there you will have a lot to learn. But try to make more examples of that. And I think for today's lecture, we have completed variables, functions, normal and arrow functions, callback functions with examples, and event loop. Yeah, event loop and the internal calls of the function. So any doubts do you have regarding today's session, or any feedback what I have to improve? Um, Please feel free to provide the feedback. And any doubts, if you can mention those questions in the chat and I can answer them. Any question, Akash, Indranil, Prachi, Rishikesh, any questions? Any feedback from your end?
Yeah, hi Mega. So no question, Mega. This is really nice session to understand everything from scratch. This is really good. Yeah, might this will help everyone to understand from basics to advanced.
Thank you, Akash. Could you explain arrow functions again? Yeah, sure. Okay, I will try to get the another example for arrow functions, or I will. Okay, this is the best example, I think. I will check about the arrow functions. Give me a minute. Okay. So, this is one of the building function in JavaScript, that is map. Yeah. So what map does? Map just check one by one the one by one value in that particular array, or array of objects, and then it will one by one change it to the whatever function we need to perform. Here it is going to move to the uppercase. It is trying to change the variable value to the uppercase. So this is the arrow function. Okay, arrow function is shorthand. Yeah, if you check, the syntax of that arrow function is really small and really easy. Syntax, you seem first whenever you are trying to execute the code for the first time for the Java arrow function in JavaScript, it will look very difficult to implement, but it is the most easiest way to implement arrow functions once you are used to it. And normal functions in JavaScript will be having a lot, like the code quality. We cannot say the code quality, but the length of the code will be increased. Yeah. So there will be larger code, and it is not a good idea to have larger code whenever we are having such feature. So here I will run this code. See, it will return an array with uppercase. Yeah. And if you want to implement same function using normal functions, then I will give you one example. I think there is one more example of arrow function I can present. See, this is the function. Okay, so here arrow function, again we are using map. Yeah. If you check, uh, arrow function is taking each and every value here first, and then it is returning whatever the output we need. Here we are in need of multiplying each number by 2 and returning the result into an array. So this is the code of arrow function. See, this is the output, and output will be stored in the result. And I will provide the features of the arrow function. See, so arrow function is very short and sweet. Okay, we can have clean syntax of that. Again, we have so in some arrow functions, in all the normal functions, written statement is important. But here in arrow function, we can directly return. See, here we are directly returning. We are not using return keyword here. Okay, and again, we do not need to implicitly return something. And in arrow functions, I told you that arrow functions does not have lexical this. Okay, it will never point to the this keyword. This keyword will always return undefined if that particular variable is not present in that lexical scope. But normal function will return it. So here the security point is also checked in the arrow function. And again, another thing is that if you heard about the constructors in JavaScript, then constructor is like a normal function, but arrow function cannot use the constructor. So we can easily differentiate between the constructors, and we can easily differentiate between the normal functions and the arrow functions. So this is the point that they implemented. For this, they have implemented the arrow function. Okay, I think Rishikesh, did I answer your question? Okay, good. So Rishikesh, one recommendation from me. I will recommend you to check with the arrow functions with callback, arrow functions with async, arrow functions with with the other API calls. Okay, you will find multiple open source things here, and and you will find multiple APIs. Google API you can call using the arrow functions. Try to implement arrow functions using async promises, and also try to implement it with callback. Yeah, you will definitely understand what our arrow function actually built for. Yeah. Okay. Anything from anyone again? I think no. Yeah. So for the upcoming sessions, I would like to provide, if you like to, just a minute, I'm not able to see the chat box. Okay. For the upcoming sessions, if you want to have notifications regarding the upcoming sessions in Void Infinity, I will add one QR code here. Please join the group so that you will get all the updates regarding the Void Infinity lectures. Give me a minute. I will paste the link to join the Void Infinity community. Yeah. So this is the link. Thank you. Thank you, Rishikesh, for your feedback. And this is the link that you can join the community, and we will get to know about multiple upcoming lectures. And I will paste one feedback form. Please kindly give me a feedback, good or bad, uh, so I can improve myself. This is my very first session with you all, and for very first session on the front end. So please provide me the feedback, and I will paste the link as well. Give me a minute. So this is my form. Please provide your feedback, valuable feedback. That will be so helpful for me to improve myself. Yeah. Okay. So thank you all for joining the session and yeah, have a nice day all. Thank you.